Welcome everyone to the video on dimensional analysis. And so dimensional analysis is basically analyzing relationships between different physical quantities. So for instance, we're comparing the number of inches to the number of centimeters. Now we can use this approach when we're converting within the same system, like we did with the metric system, or we can do it like we're doing in this example between the English system. Or you can use dimensional analysis when you are converting between the different systems. So let's go ahead and just start by really looking at this first example. So it says how many centimeters are in 6 inches? And I tell you that 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. Now I'm always going to give you this conversion factor. You don't have to memorize it. Um, and so what I always recommend doing is starting with what you're given. In the question, you're given 6 inches. Okay, we have 6 inches. We want to know how many centimeters is this. So what I always do first is write that number down. Then you're going to multiply that number by your conversion factor. Okay, and so you'll notice it right here. But what I want you to notice is how I oriented this conversion factor. Because remember, y'all, 6 inches, it's the same as writing as 6/1, right? Because 6 divided by 1 is just 6. And what we need to do here is we need to cancel out these inches unit because my question is asking for how many centimeters. And so if I have inches here in my numerator, then in order for it to cancel out, I also need inches to be in my denominator, right? So by orienting my conversion factor this way, I have an inches on the top and inches on the bottom. They cancel out, and that leaves me with centimeters on the top. Well, that's awesome because that's what I'm looking for. My answer should be in centimeters. So now you just do this multiplication. 6 times 2.54 is 15.2. And then you're going to write down your units, which is centimeters. All right. So this is typically the approach you take when you're working with the English system because it's a little bit more complicated than the metric system because it does not have a single base unit per measurement. There's no clear hierarchy. We're not working with a base system of 10. And because the beauty with base system of 10 is we could just scooch our decimal point over to the left or the right as needed. But here that's not the case because looky here. If we're just talking about length, right, we know there's 12 inches in a foot, but there's 3 feet in a yard. And I don't remember exactly how many yards in a mile. I want to say close to 1,700. But the point is the numbers all vary when we're trying to go from one unit to the other. Okay, so we tend to use dimensional analysis when we're working with this English system. So let's just do another slide of examples. So we are going to be looking at this first question. There are 3 feet in a yard. So there's my conversion factor. And I'm saying you have 360 feet. So how many yards of ribbon will you have? So remember, I always like to start with what I'm given, which is 360 feet. And then I'm going to multiply that by my conversion factor, which is 3 feet in a yard. Because I have my feet up top, I'm going to need to put feet on the bottom here. So I know I have 3 feet in 1 yard. So notice my feet are going to cancel out. That will leave me with the unit of yards. Well, that's good because that's what I'm asking for. How many yards will I have? So I'm going to do 360 times 1, just multiplying my numerators here. And then you multiply your denominator. So remember, we're doing 1 times 3 here. And so when you divide 360 divided by 3, we're going to have 120 yards. Make sure you always include the unit. Okay? So for this next one, we're talking about time. So I do expect you to know that there's 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, so on and so forth. Okay, so I don't have any conversion factors here. So let's look at what we're given. We are given 4 weeks and we want to know how many hours are in those 4 weeks. So I'm going to write down what I know. I'm just going to write W here for weeks. Well, now we have to get from weeks down to hours. So basically say, well, what do I know about 1 week? Well, do we agree that there are 7 days in 1 week? Sorry, my mouse is going a little wonky. So that's going to take care of my week units. Well, I don't need days. So I'm going to say, what do I know about days? Well, 1 day is going to be 24 hours. And this is great because once I cancel out these days, I'm left with hours, which is what I'm looking for. So now I'm just going to do, let me get my calculator. I'm going to do 4 times 7 times 24. Again, I'm just multiplying all of my numerators, which is 672. I would divide by my denominator, but 1 times 1 is 1, so I don't have to do that. So my answer is 672 hours. Now you might be thinking, Chelsea, what is this new format you used? It's the exact same as what I was doing before, but instead of just writing a bunch of multiplication signs, I prefer this kind of division here, but it's the same thing. You're going to multiply all your numerators and then you're going to divide by the denominators. All right, so let's do this last one. How many seconds are in 2.25 days? So we are given 2.25 days, and I need to know how many seconds. That's going to be quite a bit of space. All right. So if I have 1 day, again, it's down on the bottom because I need to cancel out those units. We know 1 day has 24 hours, so that's going to cancel out my days unit. Then I know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. So I'm canceling out my hours there. And I know that 1 minute has 60 seconds. So thank goodness I can stop there. It's running out of space. So I have ones on the denominator, so nothing difficult there. But my numerators, I need to multiply all those numbers. So 2.25 times 24 times 60 times 60. So my answer, I'm actually going to write it over here to the left. My answer is 194,400 seconds. All right, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and stop here for this video. So again, this was just going over how to do dimensional analysis, and we were keeping these questions within the English system. All right, y'all, let me know if you have any questions.